Chapter 5. The Old Boot. You've spent the last few weeks just driving. Probably days, really. Last few days just riding on the back of the deer that you are part of a crew with. Your commanding officer, good luck Chuck, your childhood friend, Abe, and your new friend who you met in boot camp, Greg, have all been taking turns doing different positions. Of course, good luck Chuck, being the commanding officer in the tank, has taken the lead on giving you guys the positions as such. But with the considerable amount of rain that you guys have been getting, you guys are very much behind. So last episode, if you guys were here for it, last chapter, you guys picked up some art from a artist who was doing some just art to try and convince people to move to the Falling Moon Kingdom, which is where you grew up and where you are currently riding away from. You are currently riding from that kingdom to another kingdom where there is a battle line against a more or less unknown foe called the Black Paw. The rain, however, significantly delayed y'all's progress. Whilst a deer doesn't mind necessarily, it can easily get stuck and injured, and especially at the amount of mud that you guys are dealing with here. So as such, you are behind on schedule and using up more resources than you had really expected. The deer obviously can just eat any grass that's around, but you guys really can't have that luxury. So you guys decide to go ahead and stop in a small little city off the beaten path on the road to where you're trying to get to deliver these art samples and then back to the war front once that's available. You can't eat grass. I'm sorry. The town is a small city, much larger than anything that you guys ever dealt with growing up. Home to hundreds. Your small town that you grew up in was just a handful of people. But this town, city, has barricaded walls and a dedicated cannon that sits in the center of the city. Good luck Chuck goes in and asks you guys, all right, I'm going to need a couple of you guys to come with me into town so we can carry in provisions. Actually, a literal handful of people because they're mice and birds, so they probably could actually fit in your hands. That's adorable. Bree, why don't you go ahead and come with me? I'm going to have Abe and Greg go ahead and just guard the tank. Go in, get some resupply, and go in from there. Sound good? Abe seems totally fine with this. And considering it's a commanding officer's decision, so is Greg. You head into the city with, how's Greg doing? He's doing fine. He's been better. You know, there's a lot for him. Is that Honda? No, you guys are just bird racist. What are you guys doing? Not every bird is the same one. So they don't all look alike either. Anyway, the city is bustling. Like, just in any, like, direction you look, you see more people than you've ever seen in your life. There's just so many mice scurrying about doing their work. There's a member of the clergy walking down the street holding his little staff, waving it around, talking to people who approach them. There's bird merchants looking and seeing what's available and what isn't available and what they need to bring in the next time they come through. It's a lot. There's a lot going on. You're standing on the corner. There's a few houses, a few shops. Directly to your right, there is a church. It's on you right now to go and get the supplies. Since it's your first time into this big city, Charlie's being a little bit lenient on allowing you guys to do stuff. You know what? We're already a little late. If you want to look around for a minute, that's totally fine. Let's not dawdle too much. We got to get back with supplies. Do we get the list of supplies you need? I mean, Charlie's with you. He just needed your help carrying it because it's a lot of crap. You got to carry it all the way through town. Mostly food. You guys are short on food. So you do a little, like, dance in the middle of town. I don't see any reason why you can't do that and also go to the church. Just with the excitement of the vibes of being in town, you did a little dance. And you do a little dance towards the church, because why not? Decorum is for losers. Cool people hang out and dance, like you. You walk into the church. You're not a particularly religious person. You've never really been into religion, but seems nice. You're standing in a very nice but simplistic church. It's more grand than anything that you've seen in your hometown. He didn't have a church or anything like that. This is more of a temple, I guess, than a church. The Temple of the Rat King is not really something that you're super aware of the stuff about, but you're definitely like in one of their churches right now. Standing here is just some random people hanging out. There's not pews like you would have in like a Christian church, but there are just, you know, people hanging out. Seems like a nice, calming place. A little bit quieter than the open road. There's also a parishioner, a monk of some sort, holding some sort of stick with the symbol of the Rat King. There's horses in the merch. No, there's horses outside the merch. Such hustle and bustle outside. I mean, it's a small city, but it's a heck of a lot bigger than anything that you've ever had to deal with. Horses don't come in churches. They hang out outside of churches. There's a lot of them. Also, they're not horses. They're beetles, because that's what's used as you know, horses when you're a mouse. You decide to pray at this shrine. You're really not sure who you're praying to, what the pantheon even would be, if there is one, you know, if there's a god or a goddess, or how many people are involved. But you decide to close your eyes in reverence because this place rocks. This is awesome. Mouse religion. Heck yeah. It's dance-worthy. You think about dancing. You think in your head, like you do when you pray, and you say, "Hello, my mouse god. I'm Bree. Cheese to meet you." Bree didn't really grow up in an area with, well, at least your parents weren't religious. He spent a little time in contemplation about the universe or whatever. Just, you know, like religious stuff that you're supposed to think about. Except for you have no idea what this religion is. It just seems rad. So you're just sort of thinking about stuff in like a theological kind of way. Sort of like, isn't it rad that religion and, you know, God or gods or goddess or, you know, just, you know, vibes? It's cool. That's right. Awesome. You decide after a bit of time trying to pray to an entity you know nothing about, you should probably ask about some of the history of the church. And so you decide to go and talk to one of the monks here. They're the guys carrying the stick with the Rat King made out of, looks like just stuffed pieces of fabric that simulate sort of like a mace made out of stuffed rats. Fake rats, obviously, because you're mice. And obviously you can't have, you know, a monk. Parentheses, mouse monk. Thank you. We needed that. You decide to talk to them a bit about, it's not an umbrella. No, it's a little Rat King thing. Symbol thing. Sort of like how you'd have a cross on a stick if you were Christian. Steal his robe. You violently accost some random person. No. You decide to walk up to the monk and say, "Hey, I'm not really familiar with these practices, but this place seems really nice. What's going on here?" He says, "Oh, well, welcome. This is the Temple of St. Gregory. We're part of the Orthodox Rat King religion. I'm sure you've heard of us. Well, I mean, perhaps you haven't. We're a atheistic religion about, you know, unification through everyone's existence being interconnected. The Rat King is more of an allegory than a literal interpretation of a god, and we use it as a interconnected thing. Back, you know, before we were not able to, you know, we would fight with each other. We would fight against each other. And when we did so, it caused discord. But we realized that being connected to each other, we can work together. And so the Rat King is a representation of us being connected as one being, of all creatures being connected as one being. And the starvation or the ailment of one is the ailment of all of us. Because if one person, one mouse is weakened, then we are all weakened. You ask, who's St. Greg? Uri. You just say St. Greg, but his full name is St. Gregory. Well, St. Gregory is the mouse responsible for founding the Orthodox version of the Temple of the Rat King. St. Gregory was the one who came up with the original interpretation of having us all interconnected. It's the best way to explain some of the interconnectedness. We don't have a god, but we do believe that as much as a living being like you needs their lungs and their heart to survive, a failure of one part will cause a cascading effect on others, and the success of one will create a cascading effect on all. This was hard for some mice to understand, so St. Gregory's interpretation of the mice, or rat king, itself helped quite a few people understand and bring light to the religion. You decide to bow respectfully and ask, "Where do I get supplies?" We have food, but Charlie kind of like elbows you and he goes, "Kid's kind of young and grew up in a small town. They don't know better. We're on our way to go get resupplied from the local constable." The monk nods and says, "That makes sense. All right. It's not every day that we get the military inside our halls. Is everything okay? Or are you just wondering about the religion?" Charlie decides to take the lead on this one and says, "I'm just wondering, like I said, I grew up in a small town and didn't know a lot, so I figured they wanted to come and check it out, and it's fine with me." You decide to ask him about what are the church's thoughts on the war. He spends some time in contemplation, and he says, "It is unfortunate that war has to happen. It goes against some of the basic tenets of our religion. The Rat King is a organism that only works when it works in accord. When it's working against itself, it becomes chaotic, and it becomes the thing that we used to fear. But now, if we work together, it can be a sign of hope and togetherness. But just like the Rat Kings of old, where we would originally huddle together for warmth, and we'd get stuck, it's those who thought of themselves, who fought against the good of everyone else around them, that became the most dangerous of the group. I hope that we can solve this solution peacefully. But the needs and the wants and the care of the majority need to come into action." You ask him about the thing that he's holding. This is another symbol of the Rat King. It just allows me to explain this better to people who I meet on the street. He tousles some of the mice around reverently. You say, "Check this out." And then you bust the coolest move that you know how. Both Charlie and the monk stare at you in wonder as you bust the coolest move possible. This achieves not much of anything, but in the very least, you can add Danced at a Holy Site onto your bucket list. You can check that one off. You've done that. If there's an orthodox version of this religion, what about a heterodox version? We believe they're a bit misguided in some of their beliefs, and, that's fine. At the end of the day, we're all working towards a better world. Do you accept birds here as well? Of course. The Rat King is a symbol. It's not meant to be a literal interpretation. We aren't going to have everyone hold their tails together and tangle themselves into knots. The organisms that make up the Rat King in this example could be anything. It could be towns. It could be cities. It could be nations. It's not important to us specifically who those people are, but as that they are people that want to be part of this. Okay, Charlie, let's go find those supplies. Thank you, sir. This has been enlightening. Also, one more quick question. Do deers have souls? He kind of stares at you blankly. Charlie stares at you blankly. Everyone's staring at you blankly. It's just Charlie and the monk staring at you blankly. You stand there, fit to dance. I don't quite know what you mean. I believe they have hooves. Charlie decides to kind of yank on your hand a bit, and you leave the church. The merch, as people have been calling it. We should get a move on. You think? Says Charlie. You decide that you should totes get a postcard for Mom and Dad. They're pretty poggers, your Mom and Dad. It's like a little dance in your mind, thinking about them. You decide you want to go and try and find a store, and maybe obtain a small amount of dirt. You've been down to start collecting some dirt before you go on your way to go and get, this, that, and the other for your parents. But Charlie kind of nudges you and he goes, "What are you doing, kid? We don't need mud. Let's go and go. You're a weird one." You say, "Yeah, I want dirt." It's not mud, it's dirt. In this case, it actually is mud. It's been raining a lot. He kind of forcefully starts walking away. Mud? I want church dirt. Mud is just wet dirt. Yeah, you know what? You just give it a bit and you know what happens? Mud turns to dirt. Just let it dry out. It's dirt. You see Charlie walk away without any dirt. I'm going to force you guys to follow him because you don't need dirt. You know what? Fine. You put some dirt in your pocket. You put some mud in your pocket. Pocket dirt is a MacGuffin item. You put a little mud into your pocket. Save it for later. Give it a little pat. Pap, plap. Kind of squishy. But you put it in your pocket. Like, dirt. Chekhov's dirt. Put it in your docket. Dirt pocket. It's like Homestuck. The dirt thing doesn't matter right now, but in like 20 chapters from now, it's like you'll need that dirt. So I'm going to let you guys have it. You walk on over to the constable's place. So a little bit more background on how exactly the military works in this universe. There is no police force. It's sort of combined into the military. There is a standing military that does the same functions that detectives and police would have. And so this specific city has a dedicated military force that just one, small squad, a platoon of mice that just, rather than progressing or moving outside of the city, just stay here and patrol the streets, act as essentially beat cops without, having the idea of police be a thing. Chat goes in waves about how they feel about that every time. If they're the pigs, you're also pigs, is what I'm saying. You guys are military. It's the same crap. When chat says ACAB, they mean Bree as well. Anyway, you head on over to the, I'll call it a police station, I'm sure, at one point or another. Outside the door, there is a symbol, the flag for the Falling Moon Kingdom. Obviously, given that this garrison is literally just for this one city, it makes more sense that it has the flag for the Falling Moon rather than the symbol for the council, of which that you work under. You already see Charlie heading inside. Following Charlie inside, you see him already having a conversation with the officer inside. They're just talking about, supplies and that kind of thing. He likes to be tall. What of it? You decide to spend this time to examine the room. There's not a lot here. It's kind of boring, actually. It's a very utilitarian government office. It's a raised, I guess, dais where the officer in question is sitting. Just sort of sitting atop a large table area. Looks like there's probably a staircase behind it that allows him to get up and down and just sort of look down on the people that are coming in through the doors. Charlie is currently talking to him, just saying like, hey, yeah, we ran out of supplies because of all the rain and we just needed to pick up some extra stuff. I don't know if you guys got some extra that we can pick up. We just need to get on our way. We got a mission from the council. If that's all right. Man nods and agrees, and he's, fully ready to go and get that. You decide to interrupt and say, "Hey, how tall are you, sir?" Both Charlie and the man look at you. The man says, "Normal height? Why?" You want to take a banana, but there isn't one. Who's Moonfell? That's just the name of the kingdom. You think about wanting to get a postcard. The banana's right there on the thingy. That's another flag. You can't take the symbol off of a flag and say that it's a... He takes a moment to kind of stare at you and go, Didn't we just lock you up? He turns to Charlie. You know who this is? Yeah, he's... Bree's been with me for months now? Days now? Weeks? And on the road trying to get... What are you saying? Well, we literally just... Listen, we're probably going to need your assistance. We had planned on sending someone else in, but let's talk about this for a moment. We have word that there are some pirates that are going to have a meeting here in town. later tonight. We had planned on sending someone else in, but you are the spitting image of the person we had just captured. We had literally just whisked them away in the middle of the night to a different city so they wouldn't know that we had found them out. I know it's a lot to ask, and I don't know what kind of mission you're on, but assuming that they know that what their spy looks like, it would be incredibly valuable if you could stay behind and help do the meeting tonight and just, I don't know, figure out what they're doing here, what this meeting is about. We couldn't get really much out of her. You say, a sneaking mission? Do you know their name? Of the woman we captured? Yes, she goes by Big March. That's the only thing we were able to get out of her. She did, however, leave a note saying where they'd be meeting and what the code phrase in order to get into the back room where they will be discussing whatever plans they have. But unfortunately, we have no idea what this pirate spy was doing here in the first place. You decide to volunteer immediately, and you go, also, sir, I'm just a little guy. It's also my birthday. I'm a little birthday boy. And you do a little dance, because that just seems like in Bree's nature. Charlie kind of gives you a look like, what is with you today? It's not your birthday, Bree. Also, if you want to do this mission, that's fine. We need to get on our way, though. We can't really stay behind, and honestly, I think it would be very suspicious if we had a deer tank just hanging out outside the city limits. Tell you what, we're going to go deliver the art. You stay here, do whatever this mission is, and we'll come back and get you. It's not that far. This shouldn't take long. Probably only be gone for a day or two. Is that all right with you? It says, looking over at the officer on the podium. Sounds fine to me. I'm just grateful that you're, willing and able to help. All right, help me bring this stuff back to the deer, and we'll let you get on your own and figure out what you're doing for the rest of the day. Sound good? Do we have anyone in our life named Marge? No, but also, like, if you came up with a nickname for yourself, you just come up with a cool one, right? That sounds rad. You help to take the supplies back to the dank while dancing. But before you go, you decide to ask, what's the mortality rate on this mission, sir? Well, you're going to be directly confronting and conversing with known robbers and probable murderers, but your help will be invaluable to the service of our country and to the protection of this city. You decide to start preparing your best Marge impression. You have no idea what they're like. Mortality rate, yes. You decide to help Charlie carry the supplies back to the deer tank. Once there, he decides to explain the situation to everyone else. Abe straight up is jealous of you. Bree, you should totally do this. This is awesome. This is so good. If you can figure out what they're doing, then maybe we can figure out why they're messing around in this region in the first place. Why they keep messing with us, why we keep getting robbed. There's no point to it. Shut up, Abe, I might die. Greg seems nervous about this. Can we run the tank with just the three of us? I've run this tank with just myself. Well, not this one, different one. You can run a tank with less, but it's better to have a full crew. Can we hug Greg? Hugging Greg is a free action, as is dancing. I wouldn't recommend trying to do both at the same time. You will freak him out. What should I do if the imposter lookalike comes to the meeting? They were explaining that the imposter lookalike, or the person that you're going to be being the imposter of, was arrested and taken out of town in preparation for them to do exactly what they were going to do, but without you. Hey, Greg, did you know there's a church named after you? This confuses Greg. Oh, St. Gregory? My parents were religious. There's a temple here. It's neat. You want to visit Marge in jail? She's not here. Greg, my man, you got any insights on this? Do it. Do it. This is awesome. Anything to take those pirates down a notch. That's why we're here, right? That's why you're here. That's why I'm here. To take those pirates out, he says, addressing his own... Greg, not Abe. Oh, you're asking Greg. Okay, Abe is super about this. Greg seems less about this. Seems dangerous. So is being in a tank. And, I guess that's what we signed up for. Well, says Charlie, I guess you should, get on your way. We're gonna go ahead and get on our way. We'll see you in a couple days. Won't take us long. Do we still have our dirt? You have mud in your pockets, yes. You put mud in your docket, your dirt pocket. Mud goes in the mocket, not the docket. Well, you guys said you wanted to put it in your docket, so I put it in the docket. It's too late for that now. You decide to hug everyone and go, "Take care, y'all." And they say the same to you. And you head on back towards the police station, or the garrison. See, I told you I was going to call it a police station at some point. Leaving your friends and the deer behind. On your way back to town, you hear it take off. You kept the dirt, did not get enough votes to leave it behind. You head inside and decide to ask some questions about what exactly you're doing and what needs to happen. Well, we know what she was wearing, and so we can get you set up in that outfit, or something very similar. Chances are that they don't know exactly what you look like. She left a note, she had a note on her, telling her to scout out the town and tell them what they found. And that the code phrase to get in to the back room was, and I quote, "Whiskey on the rocks, no whiskey. Make it fast, old man." Apparently, if you say that, the bartender will let you into the back. Let's get you dressed up. How much time has gone by since the start? You were in boot camp for at least a month, and then there's been another month's worth of time or so of just travel. So, like 2 or 3 months? How close are we with your crew? Pretty close, you know? How did this person act so we can emulate them? She's kind of a thug, honestly. Couldn't tell you the difference between her and any other pirate that we've ever had to deal with. You've dealt with pirates before. You, on your way to boot camp when your dad was taking you to the town you were, or to the relic base where you were, or Fort Relic, where you were originally trained and had your basic training done. You were held at gunpoint by a pirate. So you have a general idea of what pirates are like. Abe's father was killed by pirates, and it was the entire reason that Abe wanted to join the military in the first place. You decide to ask, how do I defend myself? What's the backup plan? Do I get a gun? Guns are, in this universe, by the way, difficult to come by, generally rare, mostly not a thing. They exist, but really not, like, something you could just carry on you, unless if you're either, military, like you are, or, I don't know, a criminal, or maybe a rich person. We can give you a small knife, but you really got to stay undercover. Honestly, your best defense here is going to just not getting caught. You're not going to have any backup. There's no backup plan, really. This is kind of our backup plan. We know they're planning something, but we don't know what. We keep getting word that they're in the area. Keep seeing pirates and hearing tales of pirates accosting travelers, but, we can only do so much to guard the city from here. We don't really want to go out and, find them, track them down. We lack the manpower. We just have to make sure that the city still stands. You attempt to do a raspy voice of Marge for an impression. He kind of looks at you quizzically. He goes, "You should kind of just talk like a normal person. I don't know what that's about. We need you to find out why they're doing what they were doing having a spy inside the city, what they're doing in the area, and why they're even bothering. It'll help us better garrison and defend against whatever's about to happen, if anything's happening, or whether or not they're just checking to see if they can run more supply lines through our city. Is there some underground element here that we're not aware of that's running in the city? All we know is that they're going to be having this meeting at the Old Boot later today, around night." That's all the letter says. Old Boot, night, and then the code phrase. Does this city have a name? St. Greg's Place. St. Gregory's Place. Kind of a generic name for a town that has a large temple in it. Are octopus sentient? Yes. Octopus have their own separate kingdom that is not part of the council as of current. Why is the moon falling? It's not. It's just, I don't know. Japan's called the, land of the rising sun. Why are places called things? Are there larger creature societies around? Can you talk to a giant cat? Larger animals, humans are on the verge of extinction. If they exist, it'd be a rarity if you saw one. Other animals, like cows and stuff like that, never really gained sentience. Same with monkeys. They just really didn't get it together. Octopus ended up being able to. Various random small animal life have, but are earthworms sentient? No. No minotaurs, no monkeys. Cats are available and sentient. Are ants sentient? No. Are axolotls sentient? I haven't really thought about it. Haven't gotten to that yet. Are sentient cats still assholes? Sure. You decide you want to write a letter to your parents just in case the situation, about the situation, just in case you die. Considering your other siblings have joined the military and not left any sort of trace on what happened to them, you figure you should at least give some level of solace. You give them you write a short letter explaining what you're set out to do, and you explain the situation and decide to go ahead and give that letter on over to this man and tell him, if something happens to me, I want you to get this letter over to my parents so they know what happened. Can we have some sort of ID so we won't get arrested by mistake? Like, that seems like it could be a concern. Everyone on the force is aware of this initiative going down. I told the person who's going to be in your place that, you would be taking their place. So you shouldn't be harassed by the force at all. Are you sure I'm the most competent mouse for the job? You look just like her. You could be twins. You'll be perfect. They won't notice a thing. As long as you can keep your cool and do this, I trust that you can do this. You get a free knife and a free outfit, including a couple piercings and a shabby little, outfit. The outfit is not the most cool looking, but you got cool earrings now. What all is pierced? Just 2 piercings on your one ear. After getting all dressed up, night begins to fall, and it's about time for you to get on to the old boot to do your mission. Do you have to take off the scarf? You don't have to. Is it alright if I progress you guys to there? Let's just say we stole it. Cool. You head on over to the old boot. This side of town is not the greatest. It's not too far from the police station, which also wasn't a great area. But this area looks like, the occasional traffic comes through. You kept your dirt on you just in case if you needed it. You transferred the mud from one docket to the next. But this time you made sure instead of it going into your docket, it went into your mocket, your mud pocket. You go inside. You walk in. There's a bartender attending to cleaning some glasses. He gives you a look. He says, "Here, get you something?" You say, "Yeah, give me whiskey on the rocks. No whiskey. And make it fast, old man." He looks at you in confusion. What the hell? There's a brief moment of silence between the two of you as you realize that this man may actually have no idea what the hell is going on. A nose pokes out from the curtain in the back and says, "Get the hell in here." You head into the back room. This mad lad actually did it. You believe that? She actually said the line. Who the fuck has code phrases, dude? What is that? There are 2 pirates here in the back room, casually, looking over the papers that they have laid out in front of them. Hey! The guy in the top hat looks at you and he goes, "Hey, we've met before, right? I swear I know you. I've seen you before, right? Can't remember where. We hung out at some point? I'm sure we did, right? You recall exactly the time that he's thinking of. You definitely do remember the time that he held you at gunpoint when he was trying to rob you and Abe and your dad. It's going to take some fast thinking and some clever conversation in order to get out of this one." You say, "No, I saw your mom last night, though. Tell her I say hi." He gives you a scowl and goes, all right. Anyway, so, how'd it go? What do you think? Pushes some of the papers aside and looks at you dead in the eye. What do you think? Should we do it? Clearly, he expects you to have any idea what the hell he's talking about. Papers just have maps of the town. Nothing much else useful. Will the pirates recognize their scarf? They tried to steal it from you. If they were gonna recognize it, they would have said something by now. What was Greg's life growing up? Just small town kid living in an area near where you guys lived. Are hats in this world normal expensive or TF2 expensive? Somewhere in between the two, leaning more towards normal expensive. Can we convert to piratism here? You could just become a pirate. With Marge out of the picture, you could just straight up become a pirate if you wanted. It would disavow everything that you've ever done and be a bad idea. You could. You'd be betraying both Greg, Abe, and your commanding officer, Charlie. Can we find the One Piece? That's not a thing in this universe. You also would be screwing up your parents. These guys literally were the guys that held your dad at gunpoint. They aren't good people. You say, there's a deer patrol here earlier today. I think we should lay it low for another day or so and play it safe. It's too risky. The military's here. We gotta wait until it's right. I don't know. Seems risky. He nods in approval. He says, if it's just one deer tank, we could probably wait until they get out of town. I've been hunkered down here in this room for the last couple of days trying to keep my head down. So you know how it is. I haven't been able to see anything. I had to sneak into town. Easy as hell to get in. Honestly, I think we could probably just go in like this. If you think it's best that we wait, I'm gonna just go ahead and give the order now. Considering that it'll take a couple days for us to get together anyway, we'll probably be able to get it going by the time that they leave town. Did they leave town today? I think most of them left from Fort Relic about when we all started gathering. You decided to ask, go and run the plan by me just in case. All I knows if the deer will necessarily be that big of a deal. I mean, if we call them today, when are we going to expect everyone to arrive? I mean, last I saw, the deer was still hanging around. Well, as you know, we're being paid a decent amount of money to be able to ransack this place and bring it down. Now, your job was to figure out whether or not it'd be safe to do that yet. We got 3 bear tanks out there, hiding in the woods. If we give the word, we can probably have him here by tomorrow. If we send a scout out and just have someone go out, I imagine that whoever was leaving was just some straggler. So I don't imagine any of the deers that were leaving from Fort Relic are going to be coming through. We're keeping count on them as best as we could. There's one missing, so chances are that was the last straggler. Bear tank, not beer tank. Sorry if I misspoke. 3 bear tanks would be a fairly significant threat. 1 fled from a single deer tank, but that may be because they were caught by surprise. This is bad. This is very bad. If this plan goes through, this entire town's fucked. The small garrison of military professionals that are here probably won't be able to withstand the might of an entire pirate invasion. Aside from the, he turns to you while you're deep in thought and says, aside from the big old turret up there, they got anything that can actually, like, you know, make this a problem for us? Doesn't look like they got very many, military running around. If you recall on their way in, you saw a turret in the middle of town. Meant to be a, you know, well, Fort Relic isn't getting attacked. They just noticed that they're, you know, keeping a watch when Fort Relic, the people there were leaving. Would there be enough time for the military to get here? You guys were literally the last deer in the area. Your friends that left earlier today, they were the last ones out. Your answer, I guess, is too risky right now. I'll go check out the coast, see if it's safe. I'll come back tonight with the go-ahead. And instead, parentheses, go back and report to the officers that 3 bear tanks in Fort Relic are about to be attacked. Fort Relic is not about to be attacked, so you can cut that one. 3, you're making too much noise. Half their communication is for finding out who's manning those bears. You aren't invisible, you know. Lie about military enforcement's waiting. If there's any military enforcement's waiting, I don't care. They ain't got the firepower anymore. I saw those deer going. He says, all right, well, when we send someone out tonight, we'll go ahead and let them know that if the coast looks clear, it should be fine. Honestly, this whole dale is pretty open. If there were any deer tanks around, we'd have seen them by now. All right, thank you for your report. Go ahead and go hide in whatever hole you came from. And I don't mean my mom. Get out of here. His friend seems to snicker a bit. You head out back outside, wander around town a bit, making sure you shake any tails, and go back to the police station and confirm the information and tell them exactly what's going on. Mission success. You now know that the entire town is about to be raided and sieged by 3 bear tanks. You lived, you didn't die, and you didn't give away your position. Somehow, you managed to successfully communicate all of this. On the plus side, you didn't die from a close encounter with pirates. On the downside, you may be mauled by bears. But that's a next time thing. A next time thing that will not be happening next month. It'll be happening the month after that. All the time in the world to think about what's going to happen the next time on the March of the Mice.